Okay, hi again. The last time I talked to you all, it's been a little while actually. I had just seen my narcissist at our graduation ceremony, and she was being super manipulative, and I couldn't decide if I was going to go see her because she had also emailed me about still having some of my stuff at her apartment. So I went the route of just go for it and kind of gather information and use what I know about narcissistic personality disorder to sort of see if I can predict what she's going to do, like based on what I say. Because I feel like I know enough about it now that I could say or not say certain things and predict it. So it's interesting. And I felt after seeing her at graduation that I could handle it. So I actually didn't do anything after graduation. But of course, a couple days later, she texted me, "Do you want to go for a drink?" And I was like, wow, okay. Because she found out that I was moving out of state. So that was crazy. And at first, I just kind of rolled my eyes at it. Well, I got super anxious, but then rolled my eyes at it and was like, no, I'm studying for a final, which was true. I had one weird final after graduation. So then she kept texting like about other things, and I was being friendly, fake friendly, whatever. And then, of course, eventually she was like, well, how about later? Like when you're done studying. So I'm thinking, this is a bad idea before the day before, I have to take a final the next morning. But this was my last chance to see if I could handle it. And I just kind of needed to know. Like, I didn't want to be romanticizing anything anymore. So I really wanted to just prove to myself that I was done. So I did. I went and got a drink with her, and pretty early on in the conversation, of course, she brought up, like, are you dating anyone? And I was like, well, I don't really think we need to talk about that. I was acting like I was trying to be respectful. And of course, she has zero boundaries. So she dove right into, who she's dated since we broke up, and gave me the excuse of, she told me she had started dating one of her professors, which, knowing her, of course, is not shocking. But when I asked when that was, because I then remembered her going to have lunch with this woman at some point while I was still living there. And in my mind at that point, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, wow, she's actually doing something like a normal person. This is going to be like a mentor type relationship. Nope. So then, of course, I asked about that, and she was like, oh, I don't really remember the timeline. Okay. All right. We're going to play that game. So she went through a couple of other people, and then, said the girl that I'm seeing now had come to graduation and had come to see the third grade class that she teaches, with her mom on the day of before graduation or something like that to celebrate. Okay, fine. You're trying to make me feel bad, but still not be doing anything wrong, right? Because it's not like we're dating now. So you can tell me everything about this girl, and you want a reaction from me. So I was just like, oh, that's so nice. Whatever, great. Because I didn't have that many feelings about it. Like, I assumed she was with someone, and I had kind of gotten used to the idea. So I just went with it. And so we had a drink, and then she was like, do you want to come see your stuff that is at my place? So I was like, sure, because it was actually a block away. Like, we went to the coffee shop where we always used to go together when we lived in the place where she's still living. So we walked over, saw the stuff or whatever. Of course, like, none of it, like, a bunch of it was in bags, and like half of it was hers. Like, she hadn't even gone through it, and it was a bunch of stuff that obviously I hadn't missed, really like didn't want, and I mostly told her to throw it out besides like a couple pairs of shorts or something, and some golf clubs. So then she was like, oh, I want to see the dog, because I still have the dog that we got together. Fine, I'm gonna just keep going along with this, right? So we walk over to my place, because my place is still like a 10-minute walk maybe from our old place. So we walk over there. She sees the dog. She does the fake crying thing, like really a lot, because she was the one, of course, who like wanted to pretend to be sentimental about our relationship, was crying about how it didn't work out and about the dog, and like it was wild. It was really wild, and she wanted some sympathy from me. And then she pulls up her sleeves, because she was wearing short sleeves, and shows me that she has a ton of burn marks on her arms. And she had been talking about self-harm right before we broke up. And in retrospect, I understand that that was like really just to get attention or sympathy or whatever it was. But now she said that this girl she's dating did it to her. Who the hell knows, right? Like, you can't trust anything. I mean, I could see it. Obviously, she's really good at having super fucked up relationships. So maybe. That I don't know how you convince your partner that they should burn you. She's like, oh, I was just in like a drunken, crazy testosterone moment or something. And I was like, what? And then she tells me that she's decided that she's transgender. Okay. And she's having top surgery this summer. Well, that's all fine, but like, I've known a load of transgender people, and everyone that I've known has talked about it in a way that's very different from anything she's ever said. So a little part of me feels like, I've dated a lot of women who are like more masculine, and so they kind of want top surgery, because their the more masculine clothes that they want to wear fit better. Fine. That doesn't necessarily mean that you identify as male. Or maybe it does, whatever, I don't want to go too much into this because it's like a really complicated topic, but in her case, it really kind of felt like this girl that she's dating probably was like more into maybe trans men or something, and you know how they morph into like whatever the person wants? Like, I'm super into butches. So while we were together, she started off with actually really long hair. She cut it off, went like super butched out, and now has gone like even further that way on the spectrum with zero hints of wanting that before. Zero hints. And like, I'm a person that you would definitely be able to talk to about that if that was something you had considered. It never came up. So, okay, whatever. That was also interesting. And then she says to me, yeah, I want to be a dad. Okay. So we had a plan too about like having a kid at some point, and she was super into it. And then at another point, she got very influenced by someone else and decided that, in fact, she didn't want one. And was like, oh, every time I see someone who's pregnant, I just think, oh my God, that's the worst idea ever. Well, now, probably just to like make another stab at me, was like, yeah, I've totally gone back to that lovely idea. Like, I'm going to do this with somebody else. Okay. But again, like, I know this now, so I was very calm and was like, wow, and then she flat out asked me, do you want to come back to my place and we'll order some food or something? So again, I'm like, I gotta know, I gotta do it. I gotta be done. I gotta really do this. So I walk back and with the dog to the place where we both used to live. She turns on Bob's Burgers or something that we always used to watch together. We order pizza. At some point she goes, so are we gonna like make out or something? And I was like, oh, the narcissist. There it is again. So, and I know this is a thing, right? They try to come back at you, and cheat on the new supply, or like at least tell you that they're cheating on the new supply, and then make you feel really bad about it because they're actually still gonna choose the new supply instead of you. But I didn't care. So I was like, yeah, I don't know, like, we'll see. So we eat some pizza. Inevitably, we end up in what used to be our bedroom. So this is like weird Twilight Zone kind of stuff. And we mess around, and she like won't really let me do anything physically to her, which is like another tactic I know that often happens. Like, she used to act like, oh, this is like the best sex ever. But now, like, I'm not really gonna let you do anything to me because I just want to be like withholding, right? So whatever. But again, like, I was super over it. And so, of course, it didn't go very well because the reason you're so attached to a narcissist in the beginning is when you have sex, it releases, like, all these other chemicals and, like, bonds you more to them because you feel so emotionally strongly about them. But because I know that she's a terrible person now, it didn't happen. It was just, like, normal bad sex with, like, anybody. And it used to be great. Really, like, we're not bad at it. But because of this and because she was purposely kind of being withholding, I was like, good, okay. Like, I've physically gone there now again because I've only slept with one person since her, and now it kind of like broke the ice. And I was like, cool, I'm not like afraid of this anymore. I'm not like worried about all the things I thought I would be worried about. Like, that is over there, and I don't need to do it again. I don't miss it. I'm not romanticizing it. Cool. But then she assumed I was going to sleep over. And I thought, whatever, fine. I'm going to sort of, like, I don't care. I'll try to fall asleep. But then it was really difficult because, I don't know, I started thinking about this girl that she said she was dating, and she said she had cheated on her with someone 2 days before she slept with me. And then she cheated on her again with me, right? But I actually had talked to this girl on an online dating site, like, way back in January. So I looked at her profile again, because here we go. Now my mind got a little bit spinny. And she says that she is non-monogamous. So I thought, okay, you probably are trying to do the open relationship thing, because this girl lives like an hour and a half away. So probably you weren't technically cheating. But you just, like, want me to think that, oh, you made this, like, sacrifice for me or something like that, but you're still going to pick her. So I don't know. I did a little snooping, and I know this is bad, but I just needed to know what was going on. So I read this, like, I don't know, she had a notebook that was out, probably intentionally, and she had written about this girl and how it is, like, when they have sex and how this girl makes her feel and whatever. And it was so interesting because it wasn't about the girl at all. It was, like, about how great she feels when they have sex, right? Like, probably because they're in the stage where this girl thinks that she's, like, super awesome and is acting, like, really attracted to her and stuff. I just thought that was really interesting. It wasn't like, this girl is incredible. It was like, I feel da-da-da-da. Interesting. But it still sucked to read, and she's definitely saying the same things to us in bed. So that's intriguing, too, but whatever. So how do I make this long story short? I left in the middle of the night. I was just like, I can't sleep. I'm going to go. And she, of course, didn't care. And then I came back super early in the morning to grab, like, the couple of things with my car that I still had. And, you know, she wanted to, like, kiss me again and said she loved me and whatever. And then that was that. And that was a Monday. So I took my final. I handled a bunch of moving stuff. And then I thought, let me play with her again. So I thought, I texted her something about the previous night and to see if we could, like, do it again, like, as a farewell or whatever. But then, of course, she was like, well, I'm going to go to this girl she's dating or whatever. I'm actually going to go see her because, like, I need to tell her what happened this weekend. Ha! Yeah, right, because narcissists admit that they cheated, right? Yeah, okay. So I knew that wasn't going to happen. So again, long story short, I get a bunch of texts about how, like, I know it would be more meaningful to stay and have another night with you, but, like, I need to go confess or whatever crap. And she's making up these things that she supposedly texted to this girl, whatever. So, like, that did hurt. That was a big stab. Just kind of like, I'm clearly choosing this other person now, and obviously that was intentional, and I saw it coming, and it's fine. But it, you know, it kind of hurt. But I got over it. Moved on, and I mean, overall, the experience, like, I'm really glad I did it. I'm really glad I saw that she's still doing all the same things to this girl, this new one, and she gave me a little too much information about her, so I looked her up, and I did the thing that I think a lot of us want to do, and I just laid it out there in an email to this girl. So, and then I blocked them all on absolutely everything. All of her email addresses. She's not on social media, but this other girl is. I blocked them on the dating site, and I blocked her phone number. So, I don't know. Last night I got 5 phone calls in a row from no caller ID at almost 11 o'clock at night. And I assumed that was her, but I took Xanax and went to bed. So, you know, I definitely still get the emotional stabs here and there, or in certain situations or things that make me wish that I had somebody, but it's no longer about her. It's really not, and I'm really, really glad I did it. So I don't really recommend it necessarily. I think I got lucky, and I think I had done enough research to really detach and almost try as much as I could to use it as, like, an experiment and know that I was doing it for myself. And obviously with zero intentions of truly reconnecting in any way. So that's it. It was super interesting. I hope that this video maybe made some of you think a little differently or think of something new about your situations, and hopefully it helped. And if you have any questions or comments about my ridiculous experience, please leave them below. And thank you again for watching.